Okay, musicians, today is the day a lot of you have been asking for. We're finally going to take a look at Synthesizer V, which is an AI music production tool that allows producers to create realistic human singing voices without the need for a realistic human. And we're not talking about borrowing someone's voice unethically. We're talking about creating voices from scratch.
But this video is actually in 3 parts, and in the second part, we're going to talk about how to change your voice with the qualities of it in real time
or from a recorded audio file.
Finding the vocal qualities of real singers or even AI-generated ones to create
Completely unique voices that nobody else can have.
That's with the little standalone program or a plugin for your DAW called VocalFlex.
And in part 3, we're going to talk about how to use those two together with your DAW to create completely unique productions with a whole choir of unique and realistic sounding human singers without the need to bring anybody into your studio. So let's get started with Synthesizer V. As mentioned, this is a tool for creating real vocals with unreal speed and convenience. And let's be really clear on its use case as well. Accelerate the prototyping stage of music creation. Now that of course is just one use case, but in my mind AI should be something like prototyping, creative inspiration, filling in a gap here and there, and not the end product. Although the voice quality of these particular voices could stand on their own, I think. Truly, there's just so many other features in this program I would not be able to get into all of them today, but I do want to show you the basics of it because it's really cool and not that hard to get started with. When I first jumped into Synthesizer V several months ago, I was a little intimidated because there were so many options here along the right hand side that I thought, oh, I'm never going to learn how to do this. I'll get back to this later. Well, later has come, and you know what I did? I looked at a tutorial video or two and realized, oh, well, this isn't that hard at all. In fact, it's quite easy. In another video, I can go into all of these tabs over here, but some of them I will go into during the course of this demo as we need them. For example, the first thing you'd want to do is click the settings icon down here and make sure you're set up with the correct audio inputs and outputs and all those basic things. The next thing you need to do before you can start creating music or singing is to choose a singer. Now, they have a vast library to choose from. I have several installed here. For this particular demonstration, I'm just going to click on Hayden. You'll notice there's a piano roll along the left-hand side here. This is how you can preview what notes you're going to be filling in here in this piano roll. And there are quite a few ways to bring in notes here. One way is just to double-click here on the timeline and notes appear. They can be moved back and forth and up and down very easily. And to give you some reference up here, 120 is the beats per minute. We can change that by double-clicking it and changing the value here. We have bar markings here, measure 1, measure 2, measure 3, measure 4, and they're divided up into beats. And as I double-click, it defaults to creating a quarter note. Let's say I wanted to create a C major scale. I would start here on C, and then just double-click to put these notes where they belong on the scale. So then when we play it back,
La 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 la.
As mentioned, we can move these notes anywhere we want to, but we can also select them all at the same time and then move them together. Or if we wanted to quickly jump them up and down an octave to make the key more appropriate for a male or a female singer, there's shortcuts for this with Control U for popping it up an octave. Clearly way too high. Control D brings it down an octave, which will take it back to where we started, and then I can lower it one more octave and see how that sounds.
La 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 la.
Loses some of its power in there, but we can adjust the volume and the panning right up here. If we want to just add a little bit of volume, we can change the vocal quality up here on that very simple level, or we've got much more control if we click on the voice icon here and scroll down a little bit to vocal mode. Here you'll see that there are some presets. In this case, for this voice, we have soft, clear, heavy, and powerful presets. Other voices have other presets. Let me show you by adding another voice. Let's duplicate this track and bring in a female singer so they can sing together. I'm just right mouse clicking on this track, clicking duplicate track. I'm going to click on Hayden's name, choose Natalie, and then I'm going to click on that track and come down here so I know I've got Natalie. We'll solo her real quick so we can listen to what she sounds like.
La la la.
So obviously too low, so we're going to select her. We're going to use our Control U trick to pop her up an octave and listen now.
La 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 la.
Much better, but she seems a little too strong. So why don't we start with changing her vocal quality a little bit. If we go over here, we'll see that we have soft, soulful, steady, bold, and warm. So why don't we just go to soft here and see what kind of a difference that makes on the playback. You'll notice that the waveform representation of these notes changed when I did that, so let's listen.
La 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 la.
So she's not whispering, it's nothing extreme, it's just a subtle difference to soft. We can adjust this even more by using this slider. What if we put soft all the way up to 150%? That's probably too much, but let's listen.
La 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 la.
Even though it's still softer, it still sounds realistic. So there's nothing too exaggerated here. We're not creating creature singers from outer space. If we wanted to add some soulfulness to it, we can just drag that slider up and let's see what that does to it.
La 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 la.
I'm actually going to delete Natalie's track for a second to show you a more efficient way to add singers, especially if you're going to sing the same thing. So I'm going to right click on her track, click on delete track. Let's add some words to what Hayden's singing here. Let's just fill this in with do, re, mi, and all the way up the scale rather than just la, 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 la. To add lyrics to any note, you just double click it and you can just click the word you want. In this case, I'll say do, and then I can tab to the next note and I'll just spell these out phonetically. Re, mi, fa, so, la, ti. I'll put T, E, and then do again. And now when we listen,
Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do.
Fa isn't good, so we want to change that. I'm going to type it F-A-H and see if it likes that better.
Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do.
Let's give him a little power. Let's just drag this heavy up, and we'll drag the powerful up, and maybe we even adjust the loudness and the tension. Who knows? You can just play with all kinds of stuff, and let's listen to what that did to his voice.
Fa, sol, la, ti, do.
We'll duplicate the track. We'll choose Natalie again. We'll come down here. We'll select all the notes. We'll control U to bring her up an octave.
Do, re, mi, fa.
Yeah, she's definitely loud, so we're going to bring her volume down a little bit, and we'll choose her soft, maybe, and let's listen again.
Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do.
That's a lot easier to listen to. Now, what about harmonies? All we have to do now is choose who we want to have harmonize and just drag the individual notes into place for harmony, and then we'll end up with something like this.
Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do.
Probably a little high for Natalie, but still sounds like real people and not like an AI voice, in my opinion. Now, clicking on the timeline and changing things with your mouse is just one way to bring notes in. Let's talk about another way. Synthesizer V can actually take an audio file of you singing and translate those notes into MIDI notes and transcribe what you say and fill in the lyrics for you. Don't believe me? Well, let's do it. In the DAW of your choice, make sure you've got a beats per minute that matches the project in Synth V. In this case, I do. It's 120 beats per minute. And let's just record a quick little silly something. Here is a song, and it will not be long, 'cause who has that kind of time? I'm just trying to come up with something to say, and I hope that it will rhyme. Okay, let's see what happens. Just gonna export this as a WAV file real quick like. Call it Bob Sings Like a Pro. And now we just drag that WAV file right in here to Synth V. Right click on the file, click on Extract Notes from Audio. I'm gonna leave everything here so it will round the pitch to the nearest semitone, so if I'm singing off key, which seems impossible, and it will phonetically transcribe the lyrics, which is exactly what we want. So we'll click OK, and in just mere seconds, look what's happened. It's created notes on the piano roll here. It has transcribed the words. Let's mute my original recording. Let's assign Hayden to this track. Make sure we're back at the beginning and see how it did.
Here is a song and it will not be long, 'cause who has that kind of time? I'm just trying to come up with something to say, and I hope that it will rhyme.
So you heard all the little I did, and it got all of that stuff transposed, and it got all the words right too. But it does sound a little soft, doesn't it? So we'll try to powerful it up a little bit and maybe bring up the loudness. We'll leave it at that, and I may need to pop it up an octave, but let's just see what we got.
Here is a song and it will not be long, 'cause
Let us just duplicate this track right now. I'm going to keep it at Hayden, but I'm going to pop the copy up an octave and see what we get.
here is a song and it will not be long, 'cause who has that kind of time?
All right, that top one is a little extreme. I would definitely want to bring the volume down and maybe even pop up the soft a little bit, take down the loudness. Go back, listen.
Here is a song and it will not be long, 'cause who has that kind of time?
Just for grins, let's add a Natalie track. We're going to duplicate it in here. Choose Natalie, go down here. I duplicated the one that I popped up an octave, so she should be good with the audio. Let's listen.
Here is a song and it will not be long, 'cause
So let's just play with some of the volume as we're
who has
doing
that
it.
kind of time?
We'll pop her up a little bit.
I'm just trying to come up with something to say, and I hope that it will rhyme.
Let's solo her, just hear what she's actually doing.
Here is a song and it will not be long, 'cause who has that kind of time?
That really sounds amazing. So there's that Hayden track that was on top of that, and that doesn't sound good together at all. So let's just have the first Hayden track and the second Natalie track playing together.
Here is a song and it will not be long, 'cause who has that kind of time?
Finally, the third way is to import notes from a MIDI file. So if you create a MIDI file in some other program and bring it right in, it'll convert it to voice data and then you can add the lyrics to it. So here I've created basically a 3-track song with one note on the 4th track just to flesh things out. This is designed with lyrics in mind, so thinking about those lyrics, I created this little riff of 3-part harmony. Alright, now what I did in this case is I exported each of these MIDI tracks as an individual MIDI file. I'm just going to drag these files in one by one right onto the interface, create new tracks, and just click on through. I will say yes, clean up the imported project, and then go to the next track, drag that in, go through the same thing, create new tracks, yes, clean up, drag the next one, create new track, yes, yes, and the next one, and there they all are. Now they all need to be assigned a voice. We're going to go ahead and go with Hayden to begin with, and we'll just listen to see how this sounds, to see how the octaves are.
La 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 la.
Okay, we need to take the tempo down, and that all sounds really high as well. So let's go through these and lower them down an octave. Click, select, and then Control D. Click, select all, Control D. Click, and then there's just that one note at the end. Control D.
La 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 la.
That la la really gets lost here. Why don't we duplicate that track? We'll add some heaviness and some power to it. I'm going to have to do this 4 times, one for each track, because that's just the nature of how I'm doing the harmony lines individually, but luckily we're only talking about a few words. So I'm going to go to the first track here, double click, and just start typing and tabbing as I need to. If you sub, now I'm changing to another syllable here. There's 2 things I can do. I can say sub and then go to the next one and say scribe. Let's solo this so you can hear. And it will say,
if you subscribe, blah.
Okay, let's go ahead and say now here. Or take out that scribe here and just type subscribe, and then in this next one add the plus sign, and you'll notice that it's broken the word up into 2 for you.
If you subscribe now, la 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 la.
Let's keep typing. I will not look for you. I will not. Again, I could say pursue here and then the plus sign, you. But if you do not, I will find you and I will. So let's listen to this whole thing.
If you subscribe now, I will not look for you. I will not pursue you. But if you do not, I will find you and I will.
And is a little bit oddly pronounced, but for the most part that sounds really great. I'm just going to go through each of these other lines and add those lyrics so that we can have them all singing the same thing. On this track, the actual lyrics go, if you subscribe now, right now. So it'll be if you subscribe with the plus sign, and then there's right now. So right now, I will not follow you. Oh, no. Here, this line goes, I will not. So it's breaking the word I up into 3 notes. In this case, to continue it, we're going to do a minus sign, which just draws out that syllable. I minus, I will not pursue, plus sign. But if you do not, I will find you and I will, which is also broken up over 2 syllables because it's resolving the chord. So that's going to be the minus sign here. Since I've already typed in all those lyrics, I'm going to delete this track, duplicate this one again since it's got all the lyrics already typed in, and then just make the adjustments again to the heavy and the powerful here for that particular track without having to type in all those lyrics again. I've got this one last note on this last track. It is the word will, and now we should be able to listen to the whole thing.
If you subscribe now, I will not follow you.
It's look for you. I said follow by accident. Here we go.
If you subscribe now, I will not look for you. I pursue you.
So the lower one down here is way too low. We're missing it completely. So I'm going to duplicate that track again. I'm going to choose all the notes and I'm going to pop it up an octave, and let's see how that helps.
If you subscribe now, right now, I will not look for you. No, I will not pursue you. But if you do not, I will find you and I will.
All right, so I think you get the basic building blocks there, but you may notice, but okay, well, that's fine. We got those vocal tracks, but there's no effects, there's no compression, there's no limiting. What do we do to make this sound good? That's the beauty of having this available as a plugin for your favorite DAW, and we're going to be getting to that in the third part of this video. But now let's move on to part 2, which is VocalFlex. So now we're looking at the standalone version of VocalFlex, which allows you to take vocal samples and blend them through this unique dragging interface here to move between the vocal samples to do real-time morphing. Don't know what I'm talking about? Well, let me just show you what I'm talking about. Right now we have a clean slate and you just hear my voice like it normally is. Let's just start by choosing a preset from one of their voices. For example, Pure Chinese Soprano.
Now when I click on Pure Chinese Soprano, my voice has changed in real time. The first thing you notice is it sounds a little weird because it's too low for obviously what's supposed to be a female sample. So I'm going to click on this tuning fork here.
Move this up 12 tones, and now it sounds a little bit more natural. And remember, this is for singing. Each of these little dots here represents a chunk of the sample, various nuances of the timbre. So as I move it along, you may or may not hear subtle changes. But let's show you the real power of this thing. I can add another voice from the preset choices here. How about a bright female J, okay? I'll add another one of these little designs here, and as I drag from this pure Chinese soprano over to bright female, you'll hear the difference in the vocal qualities, and so I can go anywhere between these to create completely unique voices. I can keep going. Let's add smooth male.
And now as I move this closer to this, you get more of the qualities of that sample. Now, the problem is it should be down here.
As we move towards the female voices, it's going to sound a little bit more natural if we change this back up to 12.
Let's clear this out.
And start from scratch once again from just vocal samples that we can load in from our computer. These can be people talking, this can be people singing. I'm going to choose a vocal sample of my friend Rob, who has a uniquely different voice than mine. This is like a 28-second sample, but you only need 10. I just happen to have 28 right here. Load this here, and then once it figures out what's going on, my voice is going
will immediately change to the timbre information in this file. So as you can see, the basic quality of my voice has changed. Now I'm not cloned to sound exactly like Rob. And again, since his voice is a little bit higher than mine, if I was going to do speaking stuff, I'd just probably adjust this a little bit more. This is not about sounding exactly like him, although I, knowing him for years, can hear him. Now let's add a sample of my voice. This is about a minute sample, again, way overkill. So now as I drag over here, I'm closer to Rob's vocal quality. As I drag it back over here, you can hear it changing, and it's closer to my dulcet resonant touch.
So here's a preset with a lot going on here. We've got the clear idle soprano over to airy Japanese soprano,
Down to deep, raspy reggae, which is actually a male voice, and then emotional, energetic tenor.
If I just keep singing and I roll this around, you're gonna get a lot of
Different sounds in
real time. Yeah. What if you don't want to drag your mouse around all that? You can create what are called waypoints. You might see one here, this one labeled 1, and then here one that's labeled 2 and labeled 3. And each of these waypoints is assigned either a MIDI key or a keyboard key. So if I want to quickly change from the clear idle soprano to the airy Japanese soprano, I could just click the number 2 on my keyboard and it jumps right over.
Clicking 3 jumps over to the emotional, energetic tenor.
And all of these movements can be recorded within your DAW just like you would control any other third-party plugin.
Now, another source of vocal samples could be AI music that you generated from one of the services like Suno or Udio or whatever your favorite one is. For example, here's a vocal extraction of an AI song that I created.
In a room so full of love, tiny paws and purrs so tough.
So that's like a 34-second sample. So we're going to bring in that sample, analyzes it.
And now we bet this. I need to pop it up an octave.
And now here's the vocal sample based on that. In a room so full of love, I can't remember the word right now. We can also generate a new voice timbre from scratch by clicking this icon here. It's going to create a swatch here with a random color, and as you randomize this, it's going to change some of the basic qualities of the voice, which you can further change by moving this around. Masculine, feminine, changing the tone, getting what you want. Let's say we've got this tone in here. So now we've got these 2 points. I can go from here, the little kittens, over to this crazy voice here. That's all we have to do.
For ultimate flexibility, now you can use both of those programs as plugins for your favorite DAW. Right now I'm using the waveform free DAW. Anything that allows you to use plugins is going to work for you. We're just going to click here. In this case, I'm going to go to Dreamtonics, click on Synthesizer V Studio plugin, and there it is. We have the same functionality within this program as we do in the actual standalone. In fact, why don't we go ahead and load in the If You Subscribe song that we did. And because it's here inside the DAW, you'll notice that I can control it from within the DAW.
If you subscribe now, I will not look for you.
Now it's processing all of these at the same time on that one track, and we'll separate them out here in just a second. But now, because we're in the DAW, we can add an effects chain to this. So why don't we just add some basic reverb in here.
But if you do not, I will find you, and I will.
So obviously you can continue to add compression and other effects and do things that I don't know how to do, but use your music production skills. If you'd like to, you can of course change out any of these vocals from right within the DAW.
If you subscribe now, I will not look for you.
That's gotta go. I think it's down here. Let's solo it and find out. I'm actually just gonna shorten it before it does that little and see if that helps. Nope. We're going to play with the pitch drawing tool, which I'm not really going to get into too much. We're just going to redraw that little spot that's going and see if that makes a difference. But we can also use Synthesizer V with VocalFlex in our DAW. Check it out. So we're going to add an instance of Synthesizer V. I'm going to bring in that WAV file that I recorded and let it convert it to MIDI data again. Just right mouse click it, extract notes from audio, use the defaults, and I'll go ahead and choose Hayden as the voice. Because this is a plugin, I can control the transport through the DAW.
Here is a song and it will not be long, 'cause who has that kind of time?
All right, I'm going to pop up the volume a little bit here, but now we're going to add the VocalFlex plugin to this chain. Now I can load up that test preset with all these different settings, play the project from within the DAW, and change the vocal quality in real time by moving this around.
Kind of time. I'm just trying to come up with something to say, and I hope that it will rhyme.
So of course you can add some effects and compression.
Here is a song and it will not be long, 'cause who has that kind of time? I'm just trying to come up with something to say, and I hope that it will rhyme.
So it's a pretty potent and creative combination of tools that you can use to create singers from absolutely nothing and customize them to your heart's content using vocal samples from anywhere you can find them. Now, if this is the type of AI technology you like learning more about, then why not subscribe to the channel, because this is the type of thing we cover all the time.
If you subscribe now, I will not look for you. I will not pursue you. But if you do not, I will look for you. I will find you. And I